간지 키다다.
Hi, you always... I forgot my name. I'm the main one. Hang on. What am I? Ganji Kid, there we are. Hi, you're with Scott. I've got the wrong thing, it's Mental Health Monday. Right, there's that. We'll start again. Hi, you're with Scott. It's Mental Health Monday. It's Monday. It's not always Monday. It's 8 p.m. GMT. This is your right ear. And that's your left ear. What's happening in a minute is it's the history, strange history, dark history maybe. If you're feeling bad and sad and blue, I'm listening. And here's 116123 for free, Samaritans, if you think I'm a bit too upbeat and shuffling on and you need immediate support. If you need immediately support, you're there. And Lifeline, 1-800... This is my immediate support. This is my lifeline coming through on the tippy chippies there. So I thank you for that. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255 if you're in the United States of the Americas. I am Ganji Kid on YouTube. That's there. We've been through that. In prehistoric times, they think that mental health was a kind of mystical, magic, religious phenomenon. And he dug up this skull, and they think that these holes in the skull, what they reckon is that this wasn't somebody bashing someone's head in. This was it's a bit different this week, isn't it? It's not about modern mental health, so it's an interesting, different week. If you need one, if you want to talk about your modern mental health support, we can do it. We can just bring up the Samaritans. It's no problem. We can go back to that anytime. We can go back to that other thing anytime. We can always do this. So don't worry. We're just chatting about this for a bit. That's going to help my edit, isn't it? I'm going to have to cut that out. So they bashed holes in the head. It wasn't. It was clearly the result of surgery, not violence, they say, at about 5,000 BC. And this, they reckon, is evidence for mental health disorder and primitive approaches to fixing it. I don't know if you can infer that because you found a skull with some bashings. I don't know if you can infer that, but that's what they're inferring. Okay, this is the way the internet used to be, you see. This is the way, but they bring up this Bethlehem Hospital, so we're going to go over to the way the internet is now. I'm going to go back to the comfort of the way the internet is now, and I'm going to read somebody else's words that are written quite nicely. Attempts to treat mental illness date back as early as 5000 BC, as evidenced by the discovery of oh God, already with the words. Maybe the internet as it was is better, because they didn't mention these trephined skulls, and I said bashed your head in. They're referencing it here in the modern internet though. So early man widely believed that mental illness was the result of supernatural phenomenon such as a spiritual or demonic possession, sorcery, the evil eye, or an angry deity, and so responded with equally mystical and sometimes brutal treatments. I don't know how mystical, I don't know how you get mystical from bashed in skull. And then they tell you about the practice. We're going to skim over that. We're not interested exactly in every single the details of how to bash people's skulls in. It's not what we're interested in. It happened, apparently. In ancient Mesopotamia, priest doctors, and this is not a picture of ancient Mesopotamia. Don't worry about that. In ancient Mesopotamia, they weren't dressed up as the Tin Man with a tin funnel on there. This isn't the Wizard of Oz. We'll come to this in a minute. In ancient Mesopotamia, priest doctors treated the mentally ill with magico-religious rituals, as mental pathology was believed to mask demonic possession. They're giving you a little Alexander there. I don't know if that's out of the Bible, Alexander 19, or if it's out of over here on the internet as it used to be. You've got all the proper links. Got all the proper links on here. They've got a lot of this stuff from the Bible as well. Look, Moses prohibits anyone who has a blemish from priestly service. Apparently. But yeah, ancient Greece and Rome here. See, now, it wasn't all bashing people's heads in. Ancient Greece and Rome begins with a discussion of this other fella's book begins with a discussion of pre-classical Egyptian, Middle Eastern, Judaic influences on the Greek and Roman theory and practice. And they had psychodrama, and they talked about the senses and reason. So they were getting onto something there. They're talking about the concepts, weren't they? We've got some Arabic translations from Greeks to Latins, medical education in Europe from the 11th and 12th century. That's getting on a bit though. Hebrews believed that all illness was inflicted upon humans. Hebrews believed that all illness was inflicted upon humans by God as punishment for committing sin, and that demons were thought to cause some illnesses attributed to God's wrath. So that would have been difficult to deal with, wouldn't it? Ancient Egyptians seem to be the most forward-thinking. I worry though, forward-thinking. Although they would engage in recreational activities such as concerts, dancings and paintings to relieve symptoms. So at least that was not bashing people's skulls in. So the ancient Egyptians had some concepts that they were dealing with it. But we do find out that they also thought the diseases were caused by supernatural forces. Again, demons. So you don't want to be unwell in ancient Egypt, but thankfully you're not. Thankfully you're not. You're not unwell in ancient Egypt, but if you were, they would have helped you more than bashing your head in. But then they would have possibly thought that your problems were inflicted upon you by God. In all of these ancient civilizations, mental illness was attributed to some supernatural force. Beliefs, I mean, that's I shouldn't gloss over it too much, but back then they didn't have much of a concept of much of the modern science, did they? But it would have been quite big, wouldn't it? I'm going to do big face for big things. Where's my big face? Where's my big face? It would have been quite a tough concept to deal with, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Imagine you're unwell mentally. You're finding things difficult. I mean, ancient Egypt must have been quite stressful, mustn't it? We think today's day and age is quite stressful, and it is. It is. There's lots of things that get you down these days. Absolutely. But in ancient Egypt, maybe it was a more simple life. But then maybe, there were some social injustices that you would have found difficult to deal with. Maybe the crocodiles. Maybe having to do farming with the crocodiles around. I don't know. Maybe you're worried about that pyramid that you were supposed to be getting up. The pharaoh's getting on in years, and your pyramid is still not finished. You said you'd do that. You'd finish that pyramid. Oh, the stress. Anyway, if you were having mental health issues in ancient Egypt, then it would have been declared upon you that God did it. The gods did it. So it would. I mean, you don't really. I mean, how do you get better from that? How do you get better from that? I suppose you have to appease the gods, don't you, in some way? Then I bet it gets really confusing, doesn't it? How would you appease the gods? What do the gods want of me? Why have they done this to me? That sort of thought process is probably not beneficial if you're suffering mentally. Is it? Strange, isn't it? I mean, when you reflect on today, doing this completely, I didn't make a script about this, I just read through the websites a bit and had a little think. When you're doing this today, there are people that will tell you, I mean, spirituality is an important part of humanity, and I'm not going to absolutely write off all religious practice and say, oh, religions are all completely bad, but I'm also not going to say that religion is your total I was going to use the word like church, like total cover-all, like, that one thing, your religious aspects, your spiritual aspects. You don't have to be one religion or the other. You can be anything you want here. I don't mind. You might believe this or that, spiritually, about what happens to your soul, about what doesn't happen to your soul. You've got your beliefs, that's fine. But they don't have to be the they're not the fix for all your problems, and nor should they be. And if someone's trying to say to you that they will be, then there's a bit of a worry about who's saying that. Absolutely, I think that. I mean, it's absolutely good to have things that you use to make yourself feel better. That made it sound bad, didn't it? You use them to make yourself feel better. Religion has lots of positive aspects, I'm sure. And I'm not here to diss it completely. But if you were just thinking, oh, God's afflicted me with this, that's not probably the way. It's probably not that, is it? It's probably not that God's punishing you for something that you've done. That's not how it works. Even if you did believe in certain aspects of quite archaic religions, even if you were an ancient Egyptian, I'm pretty sure they would say that, God does work in mysterious ways and all this. And, maybe Amun-Ra has not afflicted you with this because of something mean that they wanted you to say. Maybe it's, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's... I'm not here to answer for Amun-Ra. But what I'm saying is, isn't it difficult if it's God that you're having to deal with instead of just a maybe chemical imbalance or a stress response or some aspect of your routine and your lifestyle that's driving you down a darker path that you're not really stepping back and looking at and saying, oh, maybe I could change this. Maybe I should do more of that. There's some videos on our channel about what's good to do. But yeah, you just say, well, I don't know, I'd have to try and please God more. And that might work, or it might, who will answer for Amun-Ra? Well, the ancient Egyptians, I suppose. We've dug enough of them up. So, in quite a respectful way, obviously. Quite respectful, isn't it, to dig them up? Amun-Ra will be pleased. So, the concept there is that God has not afflicted you with these things. And even if you believe, like the ancient Egyptians, it's not that God has singled you out for an affliction. It's that afflictions happen, and God has developed this concept of a bigger world and getting on with stuff, and we're going to get on with stuff, and we're going to see our hurdles as things to the journey makes us stronger sort of business. Amun-Ra would be down with that, I'm sure. He's not here to argue, and nor are the ancient Egyptians. Beliefs about mental illness and proper treatments were altered and in some cases advanced by early European thinkers. Oh, the Europeans. Well, it would say that. It's written in English. I'm sure if I was reading this in an Arabic historical perspective, it might say that, because I know that there's a lot of early philosophical ideas came from Arabic culture as well. So, you got to be careful about who you believe. Inquiry's journal. But no, it's true. It's true. It says it here on the recent internet that between the 5th and 3rd centuries BCE, Greek physician Hippocrates denied the long-held belief that mental illness was caused by supernatural forces and instead proposed it stemmed from natural occurrences in the human body, pathology in the brain. That's Hippocrates. Hippocrates. They've said the 3rd, and they haven't said his actual... Let's look on the old internet. Have we got Hippocrates on the old internet? Ancient Greece and Rome, look. There's his picture, that's what he looks like.